That's it. It's all so bloody ancient.
Why is it silent?
Mannerisms. Watch his body language. Then compare it with Blunt's performance. A world of difference.
Clown and the poker player.
Damn machine. Stop, damn you.
Philby's ghost.
No doubt.
It's taken over the machine.
2333,000.
Is that cabinet office?
Yes.
415 extension.
Engaged. Would you hold on?
How are you settling in?
Oh, you like it very much. The house is very comfortable.
Better than Kabul.
I prefer the climate.
Have you ever dealt with Rogachev? VS. Sergeant at Stalingrad, KGB colonel. He wiped out the Ustashi thing in Albania.
Not since Mexico. Mexico City.
He's been here since October. Running something, somebody. The center have only just told me.
Maybe they want us to get him out.
Bloody S-directorate. Law unto themselves, and who picks up the pieces?
Still, Rogachev. Last of the heroes. Drinks like a camel driver.
Putting you through now.
Bleak?
Shakespeare.
I beg your pardon?
Shakespeare is code name known only to you and 6 other people in the United Kingdom. Shakespeare is a manhunt. I can deliver those men to you.
David.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Beg your pardon.
Right. Straighten your tie. The old man wants you. You have 30 seconds to try and remember everything you can on the subject of Rogachev, Viktor Serafimovich.
What's up?
Evidently something that requires your feeble mind.
Charming.
The prices are incredible. A decent pair of shoes, about 90 rubles. Morning, Nadia.
Excuse me, comrades. Comrade Zaitsev, you're urgently wanted at Rosary Gardens. And you, comrade, would you please report to your office?
No rest for the wicked.
I think we have a possible walk-in, your sphere of interest. FO telephone monitors have made a tentative ID on the voice, a KGB general called Rogachev. Now, give me one good reason why we should subscribe to his defection.
He's the man who handled the debriefing of Harold Philby. 2 years, 4 months of it.
That'll do. All right, come on, then. We've got a date with him. Norman?
Morning, Galina Petrovna. I've just been walking across the park with your husband.
Becoming quite the English gentleman. Did you tell you Colonel General Rogachev has been operating over here?
Ah, the old rogue.
Well, there's some sort of problem.
I knew we would have to bail him out.
It's a bit more serious, perhaps.
That's him. That's Rogachev.
I am a Russian defector pursued by the KGB. I request political asylum.
Fredici. I've got some hot soup for you.
And is there honey still for tea?
Viktor Serofimovich Rogachev is a very senior officer. He has the ear of the Presidium. So whatever he is doing in England is an S-directorate operation. You see, it's hardly our problem.
Comrade Major, you are the senior special section man in Britain, SS2. You're responsible for state security throughout the United Kingdom.
I'm
not
well
stopping
aware
the
of
embassy!
All we know is that some minor English clerk thinks there is a flap-on. He has heard the name Rogachev. Do you know what would happen if I acted on every scrap of information like this?
I think you're wrong, comrade.
That's your privilege. I'm going up to the information section. Some ballet dancers crying out for publicity. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Who's Jack Ramsey?
Age 42, status married. He's a typesetter on the Sunday Times.
He's just phoned his contact. Word's out that Special Branch have put Ptarmigan into effect in Westminster this afternoon.
Ptarmigan?
An op between SB and security services
For what purpose?
to seal off a location from hostile surveillance or action.
Moscow's yelling on the TASS signals net. They want Rogachev picked up fast. Wet stuff, blowing agents, whatever it takes.
It's too late.
From time to time, you might prefer to write your reply rather than have it recorded by our monitors. Right. Let's have your name, please. Your name.
Where is this?
It's a secure place. No one can get to you. No one can eavesdrop.
Who are you?
That's a fair question, but my boss is listening, so do me a favor. You answer my questions first.
Medienkov. Yuri Alexandrovich.
Ой, братья, Эджи говоришь по-русски?
So are you?
My name is David.
Are you with 5 or 6?
There you go again.
You are knowing what is meant by codename Shakespeare.
Yes.
I do not believe you. You are Maitland. We have your photograph. You are David Maitland of the Secret Intelligence Service. You are not on distribution list.
I am now.
Why?
Because I have to interview you.
I will not speak, Mr. Maitland, until I've seen and had your credentials confirmed by Sir Norman Bleeker of the Cabinet Office or your Director General, Sir James Croft.
Not a chance. You could be here to kill them.
We do not kill your administrators. You think we are gangsters?
What about the U.S. ambassador in Afghanistan, Spike Dubs, 1979? You faked a terrorist kidnapping attempt, then the KGB stormed their hotel room and killed a lot. Do me a favor, Mr. Medinkov. It was a Department V operation run, I believe, by Sergei Bakhturin, and not terribly subtle.
I must have proof. You know about Shakespeare.
How long have you been in England?
Look, young man, when I was only 17, I was a corporal with the 62nd Army, serving with Vasily Ivanovich Chukov at a sprawling city where the Don and the Volga meet.
Volgograd.
Stalingrad.
That's all I need, a KGB punk rock.
We fought, the 62nd Army and me, from Nizhny Cheskaya back across the Don to the Red October tractor factory.
Krasny Oktyabr.
Krasny Oktyabr. I'm from there west to Berlin.
What was your unit in the 62nd Army?
192 Infantry Regiment.
Your job?
I was driver.
What did you drive, trucks?
No, I drove general.
His name was?
Chukov.
He commanded the 62nd Army?
No, he was in command of Reserve Army. It was a mess, from Tula to the Donbass. Then they made him front commander. It just happened.
And you were 17?
Maybe 18.
And you became friends?
Comrades.
What rank were you by the time you had fought from Stalingrad to Berlin?
Major.
Not bad. What was it like with Chukov in the Krasny Oktyabr factory? I understand the fighting was pretty fierce.
Chukov and I were not together by that time. His command post was in cellars, behind the barricade, right on the banks of the bloody Volga. Sometimes the Nazis would be on the ground floor and we would be on the second floor. It was incredible. During the first attacks, when the city was in flames, the tractor workers, they were turning out tanks by this time, tank parts. They went on with their work until the Nazi shock troops burst into the machine shops. Then they would pick up their machine guns and they would join in with the fighting. Christ, what a battle.
Then you joined the KGB after
Yes.
the war. When? 45?
From 45 to 49, I was in labor camp. And Chukov got a letter from my mother and he got me out. He walked straight under the Kremlin and barged in on Voroshilov himself. Shouted and yelled at him. Oh, Chukov was afraid of nothing.
And he got you freed?
Yes.
And into the KGB?
Exactly.
Where did you train?
Minsk.
Address?
Ulysses Delgorodskaya. That is the KGB training school.
On the junction with Varvasheny?
No. That is the MVD training school.
Tell me the date-time group of your last communication with Moscow. And on which frequency? Was it routed through Lapazha?
No specifics until you prove I'm talking to Shakespeare clear official.
Very well. Operation Shakespeare is an operation to locate defectors in place, traitors, occupying high positions in the administration and public life of this country. It is a joint op run by 7 senior officials, including the heads of the security and intelligence services. It is more than top secret. It does not exist, even unofficially. By receiving this information, if you are fooling, your prospects are not bright.
And if I deliver them, these traitors?
You receive £500,000 in secure resettlement in the West. I'm Sir James Croft, Director General of the Intelligence Service.
And I am General Viktor Serafimovich Rogachev, Deputy Director of Department 3 of the 1st Chief Directorate of the Komitvetskoye Spasyennoye Boyespyasnosti, the KGB.
Have a bath. Freshen up. It's in there. This debriefing will continue in 11 minutes.
That takes us to 1963. What was your rank then?
Major.
Back up to major. Fine. Only 18 years after the first act.
Later, I was promoted. Lieutenant Colonel.
This is where you earn your pay.
Watch his movements, his body language. Let's see how he behaves when he's lying.
Same department. Field operations.
At first.
Walking wounded.
Potato knife.
Nasty.
And then?
Then I was moved to Special Investigations Department, attached to Special Service to Rogachev. The office, not the prison.
That ties in with what we know.
What was your job there?
I was in charge of debriefing of H.A.R. Philby. Kim.
You must have been back in favor.
No. He was not so important. Oh, no offense. He may be important to you, but to us, tad or drunk.
Like yourself?
No.
But, General, I would say you're exactly like Philby. We know about your marriages, disasters all, your drinking. And here you are, betraying your country.
I can't believe it. Not Rogachev.
He was at Stalingrad, Mamayev Kurgan. He fought all the way to Berlin. He's in that film where they're hoisting the Soviet flag over the city, in the ruins.
Moscow Center says lean on Xenophon, if I've deciphered it right.
Who the hell is Xenophon?
Also, comrade, you're cleared to brief the ambassador. A KGB Presidium member will signal him with instructions. We may be making a formal protest to the British.
Xenophon is an agent of conscience in their secret service. A man who could go right to the top. It would be madness to risk blowing him now.
It would help if Moscow told us what Rogachev had been doing here. Ambassador, I wonder if you would come downstairs. We have a slight problem.
You claim Philby was not important. Maybe not in '63, but during the war and in his days with MI6 Section 5. Oh, come on, he must have been a diamond.
Listen, how does Secret Service work?
These are questions which will have to remain a little one-sided, I'm afraid.
Secret services are like tractor factories, schools, subway systems, drainage. There is only a limited number of ways a Secret Service can work. It has functions to perform. Your Secret Service must be very similar to us, to the French, to the Israelis, to the Chinese, but not, thanks be to Mother Russia, like the Americans.
Oh, man. Have a drink.
Therefore, we know how you work. Organization, aims, personnel. Makes sense, huh?
To a point.
So why should we need Philby? Oh, he can tell us gossip, who is sleeping with who is drunk, who is secret poof. How you have problems with budget, just like us. Knows the politicians who want to know things you do not want them to know and will not bloody listen when you try to tell them something, just like us.
You mean Philby was wasting his time?
Yes. Philby was useful little man, but never close to those in power. Not like McLean.
He neutered our counterintelligence program in the Soviet bloc. Albania?
Yes. That was first time I made use of Philby's intelligence reports. He would train partisans in Cyprus, kiss them on both cheeks, and send them off to parachute into my arms. Nice boys. Brave men. I pulled their fingernails out, fried their balls. They screamed, and they sang. A few. That's my job. I used to think what a shit that Philby must be.
And still you say he was not important?
I did not say he was not useful. Always instrument of rescuing more important agents. McLean, Burgess, George Blake.
Impossible. Philby was already in Moscow when Blake escaped.
Philby went to USSR specifically to act as middleman in the exchange.
What exchange?
George Blake for somebody we were holding. Somebody you wanted very badly.
Who? I asked you a question, Rogachev.
Who? This was arrangement which will be on your files.
Are you saying that Philby was allowed to defect? Encouraged to arrange George Blake's escape?
Philby was unimportant, merely of propaganda value. Living proof that the KGB looks after its own, to encourage agents who are still in place.
Such as?
Now we come to the bitter bit.
Yes. You will, of course, be able to supply details. Payments made, communications procedure, RVs, DLVs, information handed over and from which sources.
Of course. I have to earn my pieces of silver.
What was the problem about coming over? You could have just walked into any police station or the Home Office. Perhaps not.
Moscow Center had heard that I was not enchanted.
Disenchanted?
Yeah, last Saturday I got drunk. And for not the first time in my life I was indiscreet.
With whom?
Arthur John Mason, a little English spy whose place I used as a safe house, the council house near St. Albans. I got drunk, criticized the party, said maybe I should stay here in England, a place which I admire since war. Stay here and disappear. Maybe I get a job with the underground. Join the union.
What did Mason do?
He telephoned Ludmila Konstantinova. She is TASS, but she is also major with the KGB. Director in S.
Yes, we know all about her. So what happened?
So I left house, went on the run, like a James Cagney. For 2 days. I had to think.
What about Mason?
Unfortunately, I had to kill him.
Oh, Christ.
Wasn't a problem. He's in the river with belly full of scotch. Half bottle in pocket. No injuries. It's all right.
Well, let's hope you're right. So the embassy will be aware you've gone over the side.
Moscow Center will be aware. And maybe Arkady Zaitsev will be laying baby chickens at Kensington Palace Gardens. But this is Moscow Center operation. Not run from the embassy, nor by Directorate S at TASS.
General, I don't take kindly to people playing ducks and drakes. It looks like I shall only have hours to decide what I'm going to do about these names. By your high-profile defection, you will have given Soviet Department V squads time to be assembled from Highgate, West Hill, and Holland Park, briefed and deployed to neutralize the most vital of these people, if indeed their names are accurate.
she goes on so petite. And one more Gray's knee. I don't know why she won't let me put on the stabilizers.
Independent. Evening, gentlemen.
Right. But here begins the 15th meeting of the Shakespeare Committee. Apologies from Buffy, who's in Washington, and from Shagger, who's stuck in Tunbridge Wells with the flu.
Can't stand the pace.
Right, agenda, item 1. Just wait till Concord has passed.
Is that the flight in or out?
In.
Oh, Bobby Crichton's on that.
We're having lunch tomorrow.
Colonel General Viktor Rogachev of the Soviet State Security has been running an operation in the UK for the last 10 weeks. Through the good offices of the Security Service, we have all been reasonably well informed as to his movements and contacts. Of this he is not aware.
Yes. We'd heard you'd had a walk-in.
Who from?
Common gossip at the Met. It was hardly low profile. Some Japanese tourist actually reported it as a possible kidnap.
Well, he's been debriefed at a secure location. Jimmy's people are dealing with it. Jimmy.
He's shed some interesting light on ancient history. Also, he's promising to give us the gen on these next. Pass them round, will you?
Oh, those 3 we know about. Numbers 2 and 5, we had our suspicions. But the other 3... Interesting. Has this Rogachev been medically examined?
He's had a checkup.
I'd like him to have a thorough going over, Mayo Clinic style, as soon as possible.
Why?
Because if the guy has only months to live, he could be here on his last mission to put every man jack of us at each other's throats.
Yes. It is a trifle embarrassing. But one of the names on the list should be a member of this committee.
I brought you some coffee.
No reply from Moscow yet.
Nothing since 0600.
And Xenophon?
I have arranged an RV.
I don't understand it. All that noise from Moscow, now nothing.
How was Afghanistan?
Quite straightforward. Tell me about Operation Postulate.
We recruit certain politically committed British activists. We arrange for them to take holidays alone or in pairs and spirit them to Cuba or East Germany for political awareness lectures and aptitude tests.
And?
About 15% go on to other things.
For long-term penetration. I need to know.
Then you must ask Moscow next time you are there.
I need to know what Rogachev was up to so I can do my bloody job.
Don't forget to put in an appearance at the information department. The British press are clamoring for a statement about a possible defector.
Really? Perhaps they will tell me what I need to know.
Well, we've now elicited 32 names for Comrade Rogachev, covering 3 generations, from the apostles through the meritocrats of the 50s to some fresh and promising juniors of the present day.
Including 4 university students and a shop steward who, at this moment, have no idea they've been recommended by talent scouts. Plus, of course, one of us. Isn't this claret corked?
Open wide. Say, ah. God, what have you been drinking?
This is quite a list, General.
Now, breathe normally. Sit forward.
You say that this very senior government official was a CP member. When?
When he was at LSE. He met his first wife there, Debbie, Dolly, Debbie, some name like that.
And he didn't declare this when the Cabinet Office interviewed him for the job he now holds.
Was kept quiet. Like fact he was ever married to Debbie, Dolly, whatever her name is. You look up who's who. It's not mentioned.
Well, lots of chaps would like to forget their first marriages.
Me, for a start. Now, lie back.
How many times you been married?
Just the once, 20 years without remission.
All my marriages are wonderful for about 1 week.
When was the last time this official, let's call him Sir P.Y., was in contact with the Soviets?
Last Tuesday.
Who is his principal?
In this country, senior KGB official at embassy.
I thought you said the embassy don't know about your operation.
I don't, but I know about theirs.
And this senior official is Colonel Arkady Zaitsev, a KGB officer listed as secretary in the information department.
Wrong. Senior KGB officer at embassy is Galina, wife of Zaitsev. She is ugly, works as cipher clerk, but very clever.
How often do she and Sir P.Y. meet?
Almost never. It's done through other agents, live letterboxes. Also, this man was denounced to senior cabinet officials in 1976.
Yes, I know. An inquiry was conducted.
Now, relax.
And what was the result?
He was cleared.
So draw your own conclusions.
Ian, Badger. Any sandwiches left?
They've gone hard.
Oh, God. Where's Lighthouse?
Gone to see the PM.
But we're not ready for it yet.
It appears, dear James, that she is ready for us. At 15:23, one of my officers was interviewing number 17 on Rogachev's list. An officer of SIS in his London flat, his mother's flat actually, when who should drop in on him but Julian Hammond, Fleet Street newshound and number 9 on the list. So you had him followed? He made his excuses and got out, rather shaken. But my men followed him, and where do you think he is now?
Importuning in a gents' lavatory off the Moscow Road, I shouldn't wonder.
Wrong. In the gardens behind Farm Street Church with Galina Zaitsev of the Soviet Embassy.
Long-range mics?
Oh, yes, we managed to rustle up one of those. I've just been listening in on the phone.
To the tape?
No, live. They're still talking. Patch through the scrambler.
God, the age of technology.
It turns out that this MI6 chap, this number 17 on our list, is codenamed Xenophon. Which confirms what Rogachev told us. Xenophon was to be a long-term defector in place, your proverbial mole. But Moscow's so worried about Rogachev, they want Jen from dear old Xenophon most immediate. He's to be threatened, blackmailed, you name it. And the Sovs don't give a mouse's wart if he's blown or not.
Sorry, well done.
Sorry it had to be one of yours, Jimmy.
Ah. Rogachev has now named 38 throughout the civil service, FCO, the police, the forces, the press, the universities, unions, Parliament, for God's sake.
You're a peach, Francis.
Well, Virus, your code name for this important was X195. Derivative of botulism virus.
I see. And who ordered this?
It was a joint committee of Politburo.
Is there any truth in the theory that something similar happened to Garonwi Reese?
Mrs. Maitland, RS3. Give me committee room 9, please.
incident.
Got you. You bastard.
I just wish I'd never let you people conduct these interviews. It was a damn mistake.
According to Rogachev, there are 38 highly placed UK citizens who've ratted on their country. Well, this will tear us apart.
Unless we close ranks.
Lighthouse has been a bloody age with the Iron Lady.
There's a rather chirpy six-man in the office outside.
What did you tell her?
Oh, I told the Prime Minister everything.
My God, we're finished.
The PM understands precisely why Shakespeare came into being, and she approves. 100%. We went over Rogachev's list. She agrees that the number one priority is for the committee member named as a Soviet agent. He should be removed and should submit himself to examination by government security officers, drawn from MI6, Intelligence Services, Security Department, and, of course, the Met.
Why not invite somebody from the Russian embassy?
Not very funny. So, Alec, if you don't mind.
Of course. Gentlemen.
What a farce.
Thompson of FCO Security is outside. The Prime Minister has asked me to tell you. She trusts the allegations are untrue. She looks forward to your resuming our duties as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Watch out for those electrodes, Alec.
Send Maitland in. Who invited him here?
I did. Here he is, ready to give us all his security.
Oh, come in, laddie. Take a seat.
I'll stand, if I may, sir.
Moscow Center has now signaled that you comrades are to be made aware of the facts.
Well, it's about time.
Our operations to penetrate and weaken the decadent capitalist system in the United Kingdom have been greatly aided by the gullibility of a sensation-seeking and unbridled press, radio, and television community.
Which reminds me, we have a press conference at 6.
Also, they have a decadent fascination for aging homosexual scoundrels, turning into folk heroes of the demi-monde, traitors whom any healthy nation would put up against the wall and shoot.
What do you think's wrong with them? Are they all masochists?
Whatever they are, here is the confection Moscow has prepared for them.
The first thing that puzzled me was why Rogachev should defect.
Well, he was denounced by this man, Mason.
Doesn't hold water. He's a general in the KGB, sir. The word of a foreign agent would never be taken against his.
But he killed the man. Body was fished out the river at 8:30.
Well, he must have misjudged the importance of the denunciation.
Unless he killed Mason to fool us into believing he had panicked. I mean, a corpse is a convincing argument to those of us who have not waded knee-deep through them.
Are you suggesting that this defection is not what it seems?
I believe that Rogachev is here on a KGB op to disinform us about the extent of Soviet penetration by throwing some real traitors to the wolves and by naming other perfectly innocent officials and civil servants, knowing that the necessary security investigations will so poison the world and create so much ill will between the government departments, particularly in sensitive areas, that it will severely weaken our performance for 5 or 10 years.
And when Uncle Sam finds out...
Uncle Sam has problems of his own. Go on, Maitland.
I suspect the media will be used against us. Do you gentlemen know about Melody?
What is Melody?
Operation Melody arose out of the publication of several books which rustled some dead leaves. Anthony Blunt, our agent Jupiter, was named by the British Prime Minister as the fourth man. The naming of Blunt led to a flurry of industry on the part of the media, and the famous English sport of spy hunting got underway with a vengeance.
So we turned this sport to our advantage.
Precisely. Comrade General Rogachev is to give British intelligence a list of 44 names. 12 of these, it is considered necessary in the furtherance of Soviet policy, are the names of British defectors in place. People who have been secret committed workers for Soviet communism for many years. 9 are people against whom the British have good grounds for suspicion, but who are not in fact employed by us or the GRU.
The remaining 23?
Totally blameless.
What is the source of your information?
I'm afraid we never discussed sources, sir. Phase 1 of Op Melody was the acquiring of several luxurious apartments in Washington and Baltimore, and a couple of sleepers were activated. One worked in the travel business, the other imagined that he had penetrated a joint CIA-UK enterprise, which called itself the Corporate Leisure Company. The object of this phase of Melody was to lead visiting news hounds through the labyrinthine Freedom of Information Acts.
Which are unpenetrable unless you have the necessary starting points.
Exactly. Dates, names of committees, titles of reports, and so on.
And our chums from the Moscow Ring Road supplied this data to British journalists engaged in the spy hunting game.
Carefully selected data.
They pointed them in the right direction.
And at the same time, they planted certain names into the consciousness of the investigative writers.
Names which have now been confirmed as Soviet agents by Rogachev.
Knowing what we now know of Op Melody, which has been steadily dripping these names in from across the Atlantic, one could make a convincing case that Rogachev has come over to reinforce our intelligence concerning the accused and force us to launch ourselves into a catharsis of mutual distrust and investigation.
Ian?
Well, I could buy that. Every name named will have to be investigated.
Of course.
But David Maitland's thinking appeals to me, particularly in the light of this Washington business.
Badger?
Oh, yes. I think David's hit the nail on the head. Got him by the, you-know-whats.
Jimmy?
When I think how Alec Ware and I were almost at each other's throats, then he goes. I mean, if Alec is a traitor, then I really would pack the whole thing in. Certainly I'd like to believe in David's theory. Damn it, I find that I do.
We shall still have to put all those poor sods through a high-powered investigation. It's quite clear the real suspects, Rogachev so kindly confirmed, must get the chop.
In open court?
Well, that'll be for later decision. Right. Well, I concur, gentlemen. We're in your debt, Mr. Maitland. Thank you.
Sir.
Well, bugger off.
Excuse me.
Now I know how Saul felt on the road to Bethlehem.
Damascus.
Fine. I have to see the Prime Minister in half an hour, and the Russian ambassador has summoned me.
Oh, that should be interesting.
So, what do I tell the Prime Minister?
This press conference has been called to make the following announcement. Yesterday afternoon, a Soviet citizen, Yuri Alexandrovich Medinkov, was kidnapped and is now being held against his will by a right-wing dissident group within the British Secret Service.
Mr. Medinkov, a disabled war hero, works as a supervisor at the United Machine Plant near St. Albans, a Soviet-owned tractor factory with a mixed nationality workforce. Mr. Medinkov was sightseeing at Westminster Abbey when he was surrounded by plainclothes agents and bundled into an ambulance which drove off quickly.
A representative of the Foreign Office has been summoned to the embassy. The ambassador will deliver a strong protest and a demand on behalf of the USSR for the immediate release of our citizen.
This is considered by the Soviet government to be an unfriendly act, more suited to a South American dictatorship than a once proud nation. A further press briefing will be called as soon as further details are available.
And will the Prime Minister be in the House to answer in person these serious allegations of illegal and disgraceful behavior towards a Soviet citizen, a guest in our midst? This is This is yet another example of a secret security police whose arrogance and unaccountability steadily advance towards a future of bans in the streets and the 4 o'clock night.
Isn't it nice to feel wanted?
I am instructed by the Prime Minister to inform the House as follows. The person who calls himself Yuri Medinkov is not in the hands of the security authorities, but in the custody of the Metropolitan Police. At 11:45 last night, he was charged with the murder of his landlord, Mr. Arthur Mason. I am further asked by my right honourable friend, the Foreign Secretary, to inform the House that the Soviet ambassador has been summoned to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, where the displeasure of Her Majesty's government will be properly expressed to him. I am sure the honourable member would not wish any special treatment for Mr. Medinkov, merely on the grounds that he is a Soviet citizen.
Well done, young matron.
Do you think his theory holds water?
I've no idea.
Well, I certainly sold the PM on it.
Well, that's the main thing. Gives us time to unravel the Rogachev debrief without press and public breathing down our necks.
I wonder who they'll exchange for Rogachev.
Some poor bastard.
You know what I think?
Philby ran this operation.
Well, they wouldn't let him run it, but I can sense his devious hand.
Fancy that. The Centre employs geriatrics.
A tricky old sod. He plans to be exchanged for Rogachev.
Can't be serious.
Think about it. We've heard he wants to come back.
But why? Why should he leave his playmates?
Dear boy, the man's a compulsive betrayer. He's betrayed his country, he's betrayed his friend, McLean, by stealing his wife. I mean, what's he got left to betray but Mother Russia?
But if you have your way, the closest Kim Philby is going to get to coming home is on that piece of celluloid.
You better believe it.